Turning away from their favorite pastime after the national anthem controversy. Some players kneeling during the Star-Spangled Banner, protesting injustice. Over the weekend, the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't even take the field until after the anthem was played, which many fans say was disrespectful. Some so upset, they're now giving away their prized memorabilia.
Signed football back when actually Chuck Noll was the coach. Anybody that wants it can take it, and honestly, anything that nobody wants or is left over, it can go to the pawn shop.
In Massachusetts, a bar owner is banning pro football games from airing on his TVs. Supporters of the Take a Knee movement say it's about freedom of speech. But what rights do professionals and student athletes have when they're protesting on the field? Lawrence Walters is basically our First Amendment attorney that we like to bring in on subjects like this. Larry, good to have you here. This isn't unprecedented, though, student athletes taking a knee, correct? This has been around for a while.
It really has. The law on this issue dates back to the Tinker case in the 1960s, where students were wearing black armbands to protest the Vietnam War. Even before that, in the 1940s, where students would sit down for the Pledge of Allegiance, and the courts have consistently said that students have a right, a First Amendment right, to not honor the flag or stand for the Pledge of Allegiance or the national anthem.
Is there a difference when it comes to professional athletes, when it comes to amateurs, in how the law affects them, whether or not they have the right to kneel or be silent and protest?
Absolutely. So professional players are not attending a government event, as would a student athlete that's attending a school football game, for example. So the athletes, the professional athletes, do not have a First Amendment right in the classic sense to exercise their opinion or to protest. So the team owners could theoretically fine them or suspend them or take action against them, and that wouldn't be a violation of the player's rights. However, if the same kind of thing happened with a student, that could violate the First Amendment, because in a public school, it's the government taking action.
So in essence, with the professional players, yes, you can exercise your freedom of expression however you want, your First Amendment right, but you're doing so basically on our dime. You're doing so at the owner's expense and possibly affecting their bottom line, correct?
That's right. The owners get to decide, how they want their players to act and what policies that they'll require the players to adhere to. So they can take actions, they could impose sanctions, they can do things that the government cannot do, because there's not a pure First Amendment right that applies to the professional athletes.
So in essence, the student athlete has more of a license to do this protest rather than the professional athletes.
Yeah, as odd as that may seem, since the students are being required to do something or not do something at the request of the government, being in a public school, they have greater rights. The government cannot force somebody to pay homage to a governmental symbol like the flag or the national anthem, whereas a team owner, being a private corporation, private individual, could impose such restriction on a professional athlete.
Larry, what would happen to a school if they yanked a student off the field because they were kneeling in protest?
Well, I could envision groups like the ACLU and other free speech advocates getting involved very quickly and trying to educate the school as to the scope of the First Amendment. Potentially lawsuits, very expensive lawsuits, could occur and have occurred over this issue. So schools do need to be careful in punishing students who choose to engage in those kinds of silent protests, so long as the students are not disrupting the event.
Is there a way that people can get in touch with you or follow you on Twitter or so forth?
Oh, be happy to. FirstAmendment.com and @Walters Law Group on Twitter.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.